Welcome back to the Mental Improvement channel. Today's Deep Dive Thursday is dedicated to a topic that quietly shapes millions of lives: unresolved trauma. Whether you're aware of it or not, trauma can linger for years, affecting your mind, body, and relationships. In this episode, we'll explore what trauma really is, how it can show up in unexpected ways, why it often remains unaddressed, and, most importantly, practical, compassionate steps you can take to start healing. If you're carrying pain that hasn't been fully processed, please know that your experience is valid and you deserve support. Let's begin this journey together, with care and understanding. Let's start by redefining trauma. Many people believe trauma only refers to extreme events like war or severe abuse. While those are certainly traumatic, trauma is actually much broader. Trauma is any experience that overwhelms your ability to cope and leaves a lasting impact on your mental, emotional, or physical well-being. What's traumatic for one person might not be for another, and what overwhelms you at age 5 might not at age 35. It's not about the objective severity of the event, but about your subjective experience and whether you had the resources to process it at the time. There are generally 3 types of trauma: acute, chronic, and complex. Acute trauma comes from a single distressing event, like an accident or sudden loss. Chronic trauma results from repeated, prolonged experiences such as ongoing abuse or neglect. Complex trauma involves multiple traumatic experiences, often starting in childhood, like growing up in a chaotic home or with unpredictable caregivers. It's important to recognize that even experiences that seem small, like emotional neglect or being bullied, can be traumatic and have a significant impact. Not all trauma comes from dramatic events. Sometimes it's the subtle, ongoing experiences, like emotional neglect, walking on eggshells, or having your feelings dismissed, that leave the deepest scars. These are often called little t traumas. They're just as real and impactful as the so-called big T traumas, and sometimes even harder to identify because people tend to minimize them. Remember, trauma isn't a competition. Your pain is valid, no matter what others have experienced. So what makes trauma unresolved? Trauma becomes unresolved when it isn't processed at the time it happens. This can occur for many reasons. Maybe you didn't feel safe enough to express your feelings, lacked support, were too young to understand, or had to focus on survival. Sometimes the trauma was ongoing, leaving no space to heal, or your emotions were dismissed. When trauma goes unprocessed, it doesn't disappear. It gets stored in your body and nervous system, continuing to affect you in ways you might not even recognize. A crucial idea in trauma recovery is that unresolved trauma doesn't just live in your memories. It lives in your body, your nervous system, your relationships, and your beliefs. Even if your conscious mind has moved on, your body remembers. This is why you might experience physical symptoms or emotional reactions that seem disconnected from your current reality. Understanding this helps us approach healing with more compassion and patience. How do you know if you're carrying unresolved trauma? There are common signs that can help you recognize it in yourself. These signs aren't about weakness or failure, they're normal responses to abnormal experiences. Let's walk through some of the most common ways unresolved trauma can show up in your life, so you can start to identify patterns that might need attention. The first sign is hypervigilance, constantly scanning for danger, always on alert and unable to fully relax even in safe situations. You might sleep lightly, startle easily, or always anticipate the next problem. This is your nervous system stuck in survival mode, a pattern that once kept you safe, but now makes it hard to feel at ease. Another sign is emotional dysregulation. Your emotions might feel overwhelming and uncontrollable, with small things triggering big reactions. Or you might feel numb and disconnected, unable to access your emotions at all. Both extremes are signs of unresolved trauma. Your nervous system is either overreacting or shutting down to protect you. Unresolved trauma often shows up in repetitive relationship patterns. You might find yourself attracted to the same unhealthy dynamics, sabotaging good relationships, or struggling to get close to anyone at all. Trauma affects your attachment style and what feels familiar, even if that familiar feeling is actually dysfunctional. Trauma doesn't just affect your mind. It can show up as unexplained physical symptoms like chronic pain, digestive issues, fatigue, headaches, or muscle tension. Often, there's no clear medical cause. These symptoms are your body's way of expressing what your mind can't, reminding us that healing must address both body and mind. Difficulty trusting yourself or others is another common sign. You might second-guess every decision, struggle to trust your own perceptions, or always expect others to hurt or leave you. Trauma, especially in childhood, breaks your sense of safety and predictability, making trust feel risky and terrifying. Pervasive shame and self-blame often accompany unresolved trauma. You may carry a deep sense that something is fundamentally wrong with you, blaming yourself for things that weren't your fault. This is especially common when trauma occurs in childhood or when the person who hurt you was supposed to protect you. It's psychologically easier for a child to believe I'm bad than my parent is bad, so the shame gets internalized. Avoidance is a hallmark of unresolved trauma. You might avoid situations, people, or conversations that remind you of the trauma, even unconsciously. This can show up as avoiding intimacy, success, or conflict because those experiences feel threatening. Avoidance is a survival mechanism, but it can limit your life and keep you stuck. Flashbacks, nightmares, or intrusive thoughts are another sign. The traumatic memory doesn't stay in the past, it intrudes on your present, sometimes through vivid flashbacks or recurring nightmares. These experiences are your brain's way of trying to process something it hasn't fully integrated yet. Difficulty regulating your nervous system is a common effect of unresolved trauma. You might struggle to calm yourself when stressed, relying on external things like food, substances, or work to feel okay. In a healthy childhood, caregivers help you learn to regulate emotions. Without that, you may never develop those skills, making self-soothing difficult. Dissociation or feeling disconnected from yourself is another survival mechanism. You might feel like you're going through the motions of life but not really present, or like you're watching your life from the outside. When experiences are too overwhelming, your brain protects you by disconnecting you from them. Sometimes that mechanism doesn't turn back off. If you recognized yourself in several of these signs, please know this is not your fault. These are normal responses to abnormal experiences. Your brain and body are doing exactly what they were designed to do to keep you safe. The challenge is that these patterns, while once protective, may now be holding you back. Why doesn't trauma just heal naturally over time? There are several reasons. Trauma often lives outside your window of tolerance, the zone where you can process emotions effectively. When trauma is activated, it pushes you into hyperarousal or hyperarousal, making it impossible to process the experience. Healing requires safety, and many people don't feel safe enough either externally or internally to begin that process. The window of tolerance is a concept from trauma therapy describing the optimal zone for processing emotions and experiences. When you're outside this window, either overwhelmed or shut down, your brain is in survival mode, not processing mode. This is why advice like, just think about it differently, doesn't work for trauma. You can't process something while you're drowning in it. Healing from trauma requires a sense of safety, both in your environment and within yourself. If your life is still chaotic or you lack support, healing takes a back seat to survival. You can't heal while you're still bleeding. Establishing safety is the foundation for all other healing work. Trauma is often stored as implicit memory, sensations, emotions, and body memories, rather than explicit narrative memory. This is why you might feel anxious or triggered without knowing why. Talk therapy alone doesn't always reach these implicit memories. Body-based approaches are often needed to access and process them. Over time, survival patterns like hypervigilance, people-pleasing, or perfectionism can become part of your identity. You might think, I'm just an anxious person, or I'm just a perfectionist. Letting go of trauma means letting go of these patterns, which can feel like losing part of yourself, even if those patterns are painful. Understanding why trauma stays unresolved helps you approach healing with more compassion for yourself. You're not broken or weak. Your brain and body are doing exactly what they were designed to do. This self-compassion is a crucial part of the healing journey. Healing from trauma isn't a straight path from broken to fixed. It's messy and cyclical, with ups and downs, good days and hard days. Healing doesn't mean forgetting what happened or pretending it didn't affect you. It means integrating the experience so it no longer controls your life. The first step in healing is recognizing and acknowledging that you experienced trauma. Many people minimize their experiences for years. You have to name it before you can heal it. This isn't about blame or victimhood. It's about telling the truth to yourself and honoring your experience. Step 2 is establishing safety, both external and internal. You can't heal in chaos. External safety might mean removing yourself from abusive situations, creating secure spaces, or building a support network. Internal safety involves learning to regulate your nervous system and building trust in yourself. Safety is the foundation for all healing. Working with a trauma-informed therapist is essential. Trauma work is not a DIY project. Look for therapists trained in EMDR, somatic therapy, internal family systems, sensorimotor psychotherapy, or trauma-focused CBT. These evidence-based approaches are specifically designed for trauma healing and can provide the guidance you need. Learning to regulate your nervous system is a key part of healing. Practices like deep breathing, grounding techniques, progressive muscle relaxation, vagus nerve stimulation, movement, and spending time in nature can help. These aren't just feel-good activities, they're literally rewiring your nervous system's response to stress. Processing traumatic memories in a safe, contained way is crucial. Modalities like EMDR allow you to process memories without being re-traumatized. You don't have to relive the trauma to heal from it. The goal is to make the memory just that, a memory, so it no longer hijacks your present. Trauma lives in the body, so talk therapy alone is often not enough. Body-based practices like somatic experiencing, trauma-sensitive yoga, dance or movement therapy, massage and shaking exercises can help discharge stored survival energy. These approaches help your nervous system release what it's been holding onto. Part of healing is rewriting the narrative you tell about yourself. Trauma often brings beliefs like I'm powerless or I'm damaged. Healing means challenging these beliefs and creating new ones. What happened to me doesn't define me. I survived and I'm strong. I deserve safety and love. This isn't about toxic positivity, but about reclaiming your story. Healing often happens in the context of relationships. You need people who validate your experience, respect your boundaries, and can hold space for your pain without trying to fix you. Healthy relationships become corrective experiences, showing your nervous system that connection can be safe and nurturing. Self-compassion is essential for trauma survivors. You might be hard on yourself, blaming or shamming yourself for not being over it. Healing requires treating yourself with the same kindness you offer a dear friend. Acknowledge your pain, honor your pace, and celebrate small victories. You didn't cause your trauma and you're doing your best. There is no timeline for healing. Some people heal in months, others take years, and some spend a lifetime integrating their experiences. Progress isn't linear. You'll have setbacks and days where you feel like you're back at square one. But healing is happening even when you can't see it. Trust the process and be patient with yourself. What does life look like after trauma healing? Imagine waking up without anxiety or dread, feeling present in your body, and having relationships that feel safe and nourishing. You can be vulnerable without fear, set boundaries without guilt, and respond to triggers with tools that help you stay grounded. Healing doesn't erase the past, but it allows you to reclaim your present and future. After healing, you can feel your emotions without being overwhelmed by them. You trust yourself and know your worth isn't tied to what happened to you. The profound shift is realizing that you're not broken, you're a survivor who's reclaiming your life. The trauma is part of your story, but it's not the whole story. Healing gives you the power to write what comes next in your life. Triggers may still happen, but they no longer hijack you. You have tools to regulate yourself and can approach life with a sense of agency and hope. The trauma is no longer the end of your story. You get to decide what happens from here. As we wrap up, it's important to take care of yourself. If this conversation brought up difficult emotions, reach out to someone you trust or consider connecting with a therapist. Remember, you don't have to go through this alone. Your healing matters and support is available. If you're in crisis, please call a helpline or reach out to a professional. There's no shame in asking for help, and you deserve to feel safe and supported. Crisis resources are available for immediate support, and taking that step is a sign of strength, not weakness. Thank you for having the courage to face this topic. Healing from trauma is a journey, and every step you take matters. Be gentle with yourself and remember that you're doing better than you think. Your healing is important, and you deserve peace and fulfillment. If you found this deep dive helpful, consider subscribing to the channel for more content on mental health and healing. Stay connected for future episodes, including our top 10 countdowns and more deep dives. Your journey matters, and we're here to support you every step of the way. Join us next Tuesday for our top 10 countdown and next Thursday for another deep dive. Each week, We'll continue exploring topics that support your mental health and personal growth. Your presence here is valued, and we look forward to walking this path with you. Until next time, be gentle with yourself. Remember, you're doing better than you think, and every step you take toward healing is meaningful. Thank you for being here and for your courage. Your story matters and you deserve peace. On screen, you'll see options to subscribe, watch more videos, and access crisis helpline numbers. Please take care of yourself and remember, healing is possible. We're here to support you every step of the way.